A stunning move from Luthuli House. Two of ANC's most powerful figures, Julius Mkhwanazi and Mchunu, officially suspended in a political earthquake that's already shaking South Africa's core. We'll unpack how this double suspension unfolded, the secrets behind the ANC's disciplinary hammer, and what it means for both men and for the future of the ruling party itself. The headlines hit like thunder. Julius Mkhwanazi, suspended. Mchunu, suspended. Two names that once symbolized control, now symbols of chaos. Luthuli House hasn't just made a disciplinary move, it's detonated a political bomb. Within minutes, newsrooms across the country went into overdrive, analysts scrambling, allies silent. For years, whispers of internal corruption, betrayal, and backdoor deals circled the ANC's core. But no one expected the hammer to fall this hard, or this suddenly. Behind this double suspension lies a web of quiet meetings, forged alliances, and desperate attempts at survival. Mkhwanazi, the strategist with deep grassroots loyalty, and Mchunu, the seasoned loyalist turned skeptic, both caught in the storm they helped create. The ANC's top brass claims this is discipline, not politics. But those who know the party's heartbeat can tell, this isn't cleansing. It's conquest, and what's coming next could either save the party or shatter it from within. Every great political war has two stories, the one told to the public and the one whispered behind closed doors. Which story do you believe? Was this justice or elimination? Because in South African politics, the difference is often just one signature away. It started quietly. A rumor passed through journalists late at night. Two heavyweights under review, they said. By morning, leaks hinted at corruption inquiries, unnamed reports, and factional infighting. The ANC's silence only made the story grow louder. Then, the confirmation. Both men were being investigated for conduct inconsistent with party principles. The announcement hit the political landscape like a shockwave. One insider called it the biggest internal shakeup since Zuma's recall. In the days leading up to the suspension, NEC meetings turned into battlefields. Factions clashed, Ramaphosa loyalists, reformists, and old guard allies fought for narrative control. Reports suggest shouting matches, walkouts, and even threats of mass resignations. At one point, an NEC member allegedly warned, if Mkhwanazi falls, half this room goes with him. But the decision was sealed. The ruling party was going to show strength, even if it meant showing division to the world. Once seen as the silent architect behind provincial unity, Mkhwanazi's power was built on networks, unions, business allies, and regional kingpins. But that same network made him dangerous. Rivals accused him of overreaching, of becoming too presidential. Behind the scenes, memos circulated, alleging misuse of party funds and influence trading. He denied it all, calling it propaganda by the week. Still, by the time the disciplinary letter reached him, his inner circle was already in panic mode. Mchunu's downfall came wrapped in confidence. He believed that decades of loyalty would earn him protection, but the same system he helped build was now turning against him. His name appeared alongside Mkhwanazi's in what insiders call the leaked funding dossier. He tried to reason with senior members, arguing the charges were politically motivated. But the party's mood had shifted. Loyalty was no longer a shield. It was a liability. Everything turned when a 23-page internal report surfaced, reportedly tying Mkhwanazi and Mchunu to unsanctioned financial flows from a major donor. No one claimed authorship. The document appeared, circulated through encrypted chats, and within 24 hours was headline news. Both camps called it fake, yet the damage was irreversible. The ANC's Integrity Committee moved swiftly, declaring that an investigation was non-negotiable. And with that, the two giants were officially isolated. Then came the official statement, cold, measured, and final. The African National Congress has suspended Julius Mkhwanazi and Senzo Mchunu, pending the outcome of internal proceedings. A single paragraph that set off a political storm. At party headquarters, the press gathered in disbelief. Questions flew, but no one from the ANC top six offered further detail. Outside, supporters clashed verbally, some calling it justice, others betrayal. The streets buzzed with speculation. The silence from both men spoke louder than any speech could. Within hours, social media turned into a battlefield. Stand with Mkhwanazi trended alongside Clean ANC. Commentators, activists, and even rival politicians weighed in, calling the suspensions everything from a step toward reform to a power purge. At township rallies, chants of "let them answer" mixed with shouts of "hands off Mchunu." The public divide mirrored the party's own fractures, a house at war with itself. Power never stays empty for long. With both men suspended, ambitious figures began circling. Provincial coordinators, once loyal to Mkhwanazi, started realigning with new patrons. Others saw this as their moment to rise, reshaping alliances overnight. Whispers from the Eastern Cape suggested that replacements had already been discussed before the suspensions were announced. The game had moved faster than anyone expected, and not everyone would survive the reshuffle. Silence broke after 5 tense days. Mkhwanazi appeared outside his residence, surrounded by loyal supporters and flashing cameras. He read from a prepared statement, calm, deliberate, his voice sharp. "This is not discipline. This is political assassination," he declared. He accused certain party figures of fabricating evidence to destroy him before the next national elective conference. His words sent shockwaves through the ANC, reigniting old factional grudges. As his convoy left, chants echoed behind him, "Bring back Julius." For the first time, the storm had a face, and it was fighting back. Mchunu, quieter by nature, chose a different route. Through his lawyer, he filed a formal appeal against the suspension, challenging its legality under the party's own constitution. Insiders say the move caught the ANC's legal committee off guard. If successful, it could set a dangerous precedent, one that weakens the leadership's disciplinary authority. Behind closed doors, senior officials debated how to respond without appearing divided. For Mchunu, it was a calculated risk. The courtroom had become his last political stage. With both men striking back, the media narrative exploded. Leaks, counterleaks, and late-night, exclusive interviews flooded primetime TV. Anonymous sources traded accusations, claiming hidden donors, missing funds, and secret PACs. One tabloid headline read, "Inside the ANC's war room, who's next?" Every channel had an opinion, every journalist a theory. The story had escaped the party's control, now it belonged to the public imagination. And in that arena, perception mattered more than truth. President Cyril Ramaphosa tried to keep his distance, but neutrality became impossible. He was asked directly in Parliament whether he supported the suspensions. His reply was cautious. Discipline is part of organizational renewal. But behind that polished answer, sources claimed deep unease. Both Mkhwanazi and Mchunu had once played vital roles in his provincial power base. Now their downfall threatened to pull him into the same quicksand he was trying to rise above. In politics, even silence can sound like consent. Then, a surprise move. The ANC Youth League issued a fiery statement condemning the suspensions as selective justice. They accused senior leaders of weaponizing internal processes to silence potential reformers. Protests erupted outside provincial offices, with young members demanding transparency. "Stop using discipline to protect corruption," one placard read. The rebellion didn't last long, but its message echoed loudly. For many, it marked the first public defiance from within the ANC's younger generation in years. The suspension ripple reached the provinces. KwaZulu-Natal branches, once united under Mkhwanazi's influence, split down the middle. In Gauteng, rival factions began maneuvering to fill the power gap. Meetings meant to discuss party unity turned into shouting matches. In some regions, local leaders refused to recognize the disciplinary ruling altogether. The ANC's regional balance of power had shifted overnight, and no one could predict where it would settle. Markets rarely react to party politics, but this time was different. Business leaders warned that ongoing instability could delay key investment deals. Unions threatened nationwide demonstrations if the internal wars disrupted public services. Analysts described the suspensions as a signal of deeper structural decay. Public trust dipped. Talk radio callers vented frustration, saying the ANC had become its own worst enemy. The tension was no longer political. It was national. Both men remained technically under investigation, but their allies whispered about comebacks. Rumors spread that negotiations were underway for a quiet reinstatement. Party veterans urged reconciliation, fearing the crisis could spiral before the elective conference. Still, no official timeline existed. For the first time in decades, the ANC's disciplinary process had frozen two political giants in limbo, and the silence of resolution became its own kind of punishment. Behind the noise, another agenda unfolded. Senior strategists began pushing what they called a renewal project, an internal cleanup meant to restore public confidence. But critics saw it differently. A disguised purge to reset the party's power base before 2026. Documents leaked showing targeted reviews of specific members, all from rival factions. This wasn't coincidence, it was choreography. The suspensions were just act one of a much longer play. Weeks passed, but clarity never came. The ANC remained firm that the disciplinary process would take as long as necessary. Journalists kept digging, opposition parties capitalized, and the public waited for answers that never seemed to arrive. What began as an internal matter had become a national crisis of trust. Even within the corridors of Luthuli House, whispers asked the same haunting question: when the dust settles, who will still be standing?